This is our sixth panel now. We're cranking through them. Like I said, it is drinking from a fire hose here today. We have a lot to cover. Today, our moderator is going to be Kathy Tong. She's an associate at Decasonic with Paul Su. We have Polina Bermisheva from TenSquared Capital, Jack Statza from Alumni Ventures, and Aaron Winkler, who is the founder of an AI agent platform, and he's the founder of an AI and fintech incubator. This panel, we're trying to look at the intersection of crypto and AI. And we had a panel earlier that looked at AI security on Web3. This is really more looking, I think, toward applications and ideas in crypto and AI. So I turned over to you, Kathy.
Hello. Thank you, Brian. This session, we're going to be focusing on adoption and trends and use cases within crypto and AI. AI is such a booming sector right now, driven by the unprecedented access to data and unparalleled new models. We see a lot of Web3 companies using AI to accelerate their growth and also to as we build out the next version of our internet. So in the first half of 2024, we've seen funding in some of the top Web3 and AI deals, in the 60 of them with over 400 million in funding alone. And now I turn to our esteemed panelists to give a brief introduction about themselves.
Hello, Chicago-based. My name's Aaron Winkler. I founded a fintech and AI-focused incubator back in 2016, 2017. I was formerly the Director of Innovation and Mobile at Options House, and I began to think through a lot of the use cases that mobile, natural language processing, et cetera, how they would make it into a market for any sort of high-end financial intermediary or a financial advisor, wealth advisor, some sort of touch point with the retail consumer that the communication with some sort of agent or system must be done in a compliant manner. So as I thought through that, I thought a lot about the fact that people probably wouldn't want hundreds and hundreds of their own AI assistants, and they probably wouldn't want to trust an AI assistant 100% with their money. So we designed a human-in-the-loop type infrastructure, which was very focused on data privacy and protection of PII information for the purpose of just random conversation to more business conversation, and having a model pay attention to know when that chasm is being crossed from a classification level. But the natural language processing technology was not where it needed to be in order for that model to really be feasible at that time. But thanks to the transformer architecture, it feels like now is the right time. And from thinking about this panel from intersection of AI and crypto, the way we think about the likely propagation of this technology, especially the assistance, natural language process-driven models, is that eventually these will be likely economic agents in and of themselves. I can imagine easily, trusting an agent to buy me clothes, toiletries, maybe even recommend something for dinner and go ahead and execute that transaction. And then I see an infinite amount of potential B2B transactions. And so coming from the Web3 background that I have, I just don't imagine why the rest of those transactions throughout time are not likely to end up on stablecoins or some ledger in some way, shape, or form. And so that thought process, that vision, that really shapes really everything what we do and the mission for how we see things going forward. And I see it as an inevitability. I see it as essentially two freight trains on an obvious collision course. So it's kind of surprising to me to see kind of the questions around what's going to come first, I guess, as if it's a chicken and egg sort of question. I just feel like AI is really going to speed up and accelerate the adoption of this sort of technology. And I have more to talk about later that I didn't intend to take up time for an introduction, so sorry.
No worries. My name is Polina, and I'm with TenSquared Capital. TenSquared is investing in Series A, usually equity and sometimes tokens, blockchain Web3 companies. We focus on three main areas. One of them is infrastructure and data. We also focus on new money and solutions empowering consumers. Before TenSquared, I was with TNT Holdings. TNT is a 1.2 billion asset under management gross equity firm, also investing in Web3. And before that, my career was in TradFi, in investment banking, with a focus on financial institutions and fintech.
Jack Statza, partner at Alumni Ventures on their AI and blockchain funds. Alumni Ventures is a unique model where we raise capital from individual investors around the United States. PitchBook's league tables had us as the most active venture capital investor in 2022 and 2023. We run rate about 400 deals a year, 200 net new. We have 1,400 portfolio companies that have raised $1.3 billion in capital since 2014, and have 750,000 community members in our network. On the blockchain and AI side, I've co-invested in about 50 plus deals to date since my 3 years there. Prior to that, I was at Allstate's Venture Capital Group for almost 5 years covering deep tech. My first consensus conference was in 2017, so I've been riding the wave since then. Prior to that, TradFi like Polina here and on the asset management and investment banking side. So looking forward to the chat today.
Let's start off with Aaron. With the founder background and also running an incubator, helping startups, I'm wondering what is one important aspect you believe for a crypto and AI startup to be successful?
So firstly, I think the market from an investor standpoint is far hungrier for the AI component of the house. And so I would expect somebody to be successful in that space to really focus on a skill set, a knowledge, and a differentiator relative to AI, figuring out what that solution is, what the likely propagation of that use case ought to be in terms of its path to market, and then think about the path to market as the distribution path, the communication outward of what that message is. It likely will give them some insight into some sort of proper potential token structure that maybe they want to experiment with. But if you're taking on the risk of trying to do something innovative on two sides of a very deep tech coin, then you would run into probably some really significant challenges. So hopefully everybody in the firm is very, 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 have some very, very, very serious chops, I would think.
That's a great point. I do believe it's at the very great balance of innovation, attraction, and building a durable use case. Now I want to turn to Polina about what sort of market, what current trends are you seeing in the market given a lot of research that TenSquared Capital has done in this space?
We see a lot of entrepreneurial activity in this sector, like intersection of AI and Web3, and particularly at developer conferences. And we also see that their early stage, VC funding in the sector is picking up. Definitely the sector is in very, very early stage, and there's a lot of hype, there is a lot of uncertainty, but things are moving really fast, and we try to quantify some positive changes, like for example adoption in the sector, and there are not many indicators we can look at, but we found a few and we think they are very positive signs. So for example, we see quite a lot of developer activity judging by, for example, GitHub repositories dedicated to blockchain and AI project. They're really like kind of skyrocketing. Or, for example, blockchain and AI-related research publications. We see a very good growth here, especially in the last few years. Filed patents in this area also showing very good dynamic. And one more thing I have to mention is partnerships between Web 2 and Web 3 companies in the space. So there are a number of like really interesting cases. We could not speak about adoption, like full-scale adoption, but there's a lot of interest, and I think there's a very healthy dynamic.
I think you mentioned some great leading indicators that on-chain data analytics may not be showing yet, so really look forward to tracking those and also seeing the activities they may have in the future. Now, I want to turn it to Jack, who I know you're running an AI fund and a Web3 fund. You see tons of deals in the space. What sort of new opportunities are you seeing and are you excited about?
Yeah, thank you. So as I mentioned too, so my two funds are separate. So there's a pure play AI fund and a pure play blockchain fund. And sometimes we cross mingle into Web3 DAI kind of investments. Some that I'll just name some portfolio companies that are public that show some unique use cases of what we're seeing here. One's Sahara AI. They're building an AI network to maintain sovereignty and provenance for AI. That was co-invested with Pantera and Polychain. We did Zero G, which is data availability for AI, co-invested with Hack VC. Thuriq, which is an AI agent, collective AI agent infrastructure, so multiple AI agents could work together to solve tasks. Hack VC did that one as well. Subspace, now called Autonomies. They are developing an identity platform to identify within AI what is actually real and what's not. That was Pantera with us, and then Space and Time, which is decentralized database infrastructure with Lightspeed and HiveMind. So that's a kind of a flavor of investments we've made in the space where it's Web3 and AI.
The diversity, both infra and application projects. What about you, Polina? What are you seeing?
Yeah, we're seeing a significant amount of decentralized AI infrastructure projects, like decentralized compute, decentralized data set creation, decentralized storage. We, as a little bit like later stage investor, we think it's too early for us. This project's very exciting, but too early for us, just because maybe there's just not enough evidence of real traction at the moment. So we're closely monitoring the space. Other types of projects, quite a lot of intersection of DeFi and artificial intelligence, like for example, scoring models for DeFi projects, or intersection of gaming, blockchain gaming, and AI. So I think these three types of project we see the most.
Awesome. And at Decasonic, we also look at a ton of deal flow, maybe around 50 to 100 a week. And right now, I would say around half of those for us are in AI, focusing on consumer AI applications, AI-based gaming, and some infra DeFi projects as well. Now I want to turn it back to Jack. And what are some of the big problems you see that the space is facing, and what are some ways to mitigate those?
Sure, thank you. So this probably relates to both AI and blockchain because they're both, nascent, fast-moving technologies. One challenge I'd say is right now we're kind of in a hype cycle, if you will, with AI, similar to what I saw in 2021 with blockchain and even 2017. And in these environments, as an investor, you're going to see a lot of noise, and it's harder to pick through that noise. So, and there's a lot of FOMO, honestly. So you got to be diligent in your process and don't waver on your due diligence just because a bigger fund is leading a deal. You got to stick to your guns. There was a time in 21 where a leading crypto lender, well, I won't name names, but was trying to just have us FOMO into a deal, like don't ask any questions, are you in or out? And we just had to pass. So, it's that kind of environment, you'll notice that, but then in the winter, you don't get those questions. And so it's sticking to your guns is how you mitigate it. And as far as DD. And another risk I'd bring up is regulatory uncertainty. I've heard a lot of panelists already mentioning this. I'm going to bring a more historical context in here. There's a good book called The Master Switch by Tim Wu, where he goes through all the innovative technologies throughout history, starting with the radio, TV, film, internet. It all started decentralized, and then the incumbents at the time consolidated those industries because there was no regulator pushback, and they had more money and more power to do so. So what that kind of tells you is, as an investor, without that uncertainty and an open-minded regulatory framework, it's hard to know where you can place your bet. And I think it's really timely to bring this up now because we have the new election coming up. New administration should bring an open regulatory framework to keep blockchain open and decentralized, you're already seeing Google and Microsoft start investing in the space. So it would be, once we have more certainty on what regulatory looks like, it would be easier to mitigate that risk as investors. So right now we're under-indexing areas more exposed to that risk, like DeFi, and over-indexed on infrastructure.
And that's a great point. And Polina, what about you?
Yeah, I already mentioned, so I think at the current valuation levels, sometimes there's like a lack of real traction. And by traction, I mean like the developer adoption and customer retention. So I think these are probably for us, the main issues.
These are very macro-based issues. And Jack, from a founder's perspective, do you agree or disagree with the sentiment? Would you see something different?
I just think it's important when you take a look at the market and you don't get overly fixated on the LLM as the gem or the apple of the eye potentially for the investor. This is where a lot of the valuations peaked. But if you look within that, I think of it as a vertical stack, all the way from energy, data center, the chips, et cetera, data, training, up into the application layer to the device. As much as possible, the big players are trying to control and create a complete and total vertical value chain to control all sides of that house, and the LLM is just one element within that infrastructure. And so there should be all kinds of opportunities to invest in technologies that are orthogonal to the LLM. So that's one way that I think about it. And then I think about applications that I call applied AI, which are more industry specific, and then they found a unique use case for obviously AI, and then 90% or 80% or some significant percentage of that solution is based on whatever the pure AI foundational level stuff is, and then they hone in and they train from there. And these types of companies you'll find you'll need less PhD level entrepreneur there. It's more about current information and understanding of that market, and the actual technology in order to provide those solutions probably will be less difficult from an acumen standpoint in order to get those into the market. So that's just the way I think about how the AI market was going to transform in the first place. And then that was how, of course, for me, the majority of the investment came in how I would spend time. And then you didn't specifically ask this question, but I thought about the use case that I think is interesting, which is take the problem of an IRS auditor that wants to audit a business's books. If you could train an AI and trust the AI to correctly classify those transactions, then they could create a score rather than handing individual line item data points back to a regulator. And so we likely have an opportunity here where AI, most likely be working with some form of ledger projects or products along the way, because we'll want this communication to be, the immutability aspect of the blockchain is really exciting from an ability to then audit agent conversations, whether it's for compliance reasons or future dispute resolution. So having an ability to leverage that type of infrastructure, those types of solutions, which are really what Web3, when they talked about decentralized information, data protection, et cetera, there was a big, the world is going to be a heaven type attitude. And so I'm pretty sure that type of technological infrastructure must be in place in order to provide a real private and safe future for the sovereign citizen or an individual, or if anybody wherever you fall on your political spectrum. But having an ability to allow agency to review and score without handing over specific data, I think is going to be a giant use case in a lot of specific needs across the accounting industry, just hands down. And so that falls back to the theme of everything that the Web3 vision wanted to provide. It gets there faster, thanks to acceleration from artificial intelligence.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also wanted to add one of the areas we're particularly excited about is their content authentication with the help of blockchain. We think that in the age of intelligent machines, blockchain provide this authenticity. And we believe that AI and blockchain will complement each other. One of the companies working in this field, which is showing very good, I would say, traction, though it's very expensive now, is WorldCoin. So I think it's one of the real life use cases. Having more than 2 million daily active users and 10 million registrations to date. So I think that's one of these areas have to be mentioned as well.
Great use cases. We too believe it's horizontal structure for both AI and Web3 to drive value into each other. And you actually kind of led into my next topic, which is where do you guys see the adoption of crypto and AI in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I can start. In the next couple of years, I think with AI being more here now, there's going to be a lot more fake content being pushed out. So there'll be then more demand to determine what's not fake. So blockchain as a technology is a great use case for that. This was something we were looking back at when I was at Allstate in 2018 for for claims fraud. Is there a way to determine that whoever's submitting the claims actually is telling the truth? So there was a startup that was doing that then. I think with ChatGPT, OpenAI, there's just going to be more and more content out there that needs to be determined what's real and what's not.
So one of the things that I think is going to occur, which is really, I find it interesting, is now a stable coin. For general purposes, you think about it as being 100% collateralized and being 100% collateralized before the issuance of the token. But if you have a really strong conviction level that that dollar is going to make it in the bank account before that token gets redeemed, then you have an opportunity to issue money, issue credit earlier, faster, and that speed mechanism by which you're willing to issue your stablecoin to somebody who's looking for payment early or invoice-based payment or asset-backed financing or payday loans, etc. So I see that as a potential market by which entrepreneurs are going to be able to compete to bring businesses and consumers into their financial ecosystems where then they can make interest rate income on assets under management, they can be the creditor, they can be transaction fees, etc. And the way that these things are going to be able to successfully get faster and faster without taking on an exorbitant amount of risk is going to be decision tools that are made by AI models in some way, shape, or form. And so it will not be surprised in the future to see something like if Polina was a service provider that had a very good rating for logo work, and she had 100 successful logos in a row, and then somebody came along and was ready to hire her for Fiverr, and they want to set up a contract where you pay half up front and half at the end. Her scoring history might be so valuable that somebody's willing to, offer that money in the meantime ahead of the full, completion of the contract of the work. And this is just one use case across the economy where payment is delayed for, one reason or another. And I just think that, once, we start from a world where obviously the internet has come through time. We didn't build our economy knowing that this digital infrastructure and this communication infrastructure was needed out of the gate, but now that's just known knowledge, that's accepted. And so you see this in terms of the industry phrase is called leapfrogging, where you'll see parts of the world where when they adopt some new modern, societal leap in terms of technology, they'll jump over where the United States infrastructure looks or where over European infrastructure looks. And so I think there's another wave there where, again, fintech and AI, to me, they feel like two sides of a double helix.
Yeah, from our side, I think that like 10 portfolio companies, which are probably like some of the largest later stage companies in the space, like all of them already adopted some AI-based solutions in their businesses. But one area we think particularly interesting is intelligent smart contracts, like dynamic smart contracts, like changing depending on online data, and intelligent consensus protocols. So this is a very, very early area of research and development, and just a few protocols working in this space, but we think that there may be quite a bright future here as well.
Great. My last question would be on I think you definitely sort of went into it, but any underdeveloped sectors within crypto and AI that you believe will do really well in the next while? And
I'll go first, and then we can go left to right to left, whatever. I hadn't given this question a lot of forethought, but I guess I would like to say, and I don't know if it ties to crypto, but I'm very excited about the intersection between AI and pharmaceutical research. So from a personal standpoint, I know I'm gonna either help or put resources towards that, that progress. So I expect to see, that sort of progress. And it's not necessarily maybe crypto from a structure that the way you would look at, modeling a coin like Bitcoin or Ethereum or something like that. But at Preferred Finance, one of the things that we want to do is be a tokenization provider for lots of merchant use cases, whether it's actual utility tokens, bonds, equities, et cetera. So yeah, we're going to be targeting AI companies, pharmaceutical research companies, et cetera, on Preferred Finance as kind of like a pet domain that I want to focus towards. So anyway.
I can go. When I was at Allstate, we had 400 data scientists, and a big cost there was PII data. So people would send in more information than they needed to get approval. Well, I see ZK as an opportunity to, be a solution for that, and it's probably something a lot of enterprises face. So yeah, I think that's a vertical that can be served there.
I would add some very boring, I would say, areas like AI-enabled developer tools, for example, and AI-enabled code verification, like smart contract verification, bug finding solutions. Overall, like Web3 security, AI-enabled. So I think this is one of these, basic layers. Which is very boring, but it's the core of the whole sector.
thank you for those. We could open up to the floor for any questions for our panelists.
I have a quick question. For panelists, for this year, do you guys see any up-and-coming AI ex-crypto projects that you're excited about? I know that Polina said both were last year.
I don't have any specific names. I should be able to, but the set of projects that are looking to do some sort of decentralized compute for AI models, I think that just based on the timing of where the industry's had previous success, and then that's going to be an obvious need from an AI standpoint, a real-world economic need and demand, where the structure of getting paid for providing machinery to a network, that model works. And so I think a lot of projects are going to basically play out and experiment with both technological solutions there and possibly some tokenomic innovations. And so it's an area that I think that this will be a big year for that type of model.
I guess I could add on the deep pin side, we did one investment called WeatherXM where they're localizing weather data. So you put a little, it's like helium. We also did helium, but you put a device on your roof. It collects your weather data. They monetize it. Well, having those domain pools of knowledge could help build domain AI models in the future. So I think those kind of applications could be things to look at. A lot of these AI Web3 crossovers we see, they're kind of interchanging. So I think there's going to be a lot. I think there'll eventually be some consolidation. We're not really sure who the winners are. A lot of them are doing AI agent layers and things like that. So I think time will tell which one really stands out like a world coin.
Where do you guys see the value accruing in this? So if Web 2 was to companies, Web 3, it's maybe unclear if it's between tokens or applications. With AI, is it all going to accrue to the LLMs? Is it going to accrue to the best applications? How do you guys think about that, especially as you start to think about placing venture or growth stage investments or building businesses?
All right, well, you said growth stage, so that would imply it's more mature where Polina resides, so I would think it would be safer to make an application bet at the growth stage, but at the seed stage, it's inherently more risky, so we like to do more infrastructure bets at that stage. In terms of where value is going to accrue, in the Web3 side, you're seeing a lot of VCs go to ones that have token exits, because token exits are like they're another form of exit. They're a mini IPO, if you will. So you got M&A, IPO, and then tokenization. So on the Web3 side, you see that. On the Web2 side, in my AI fund, you see the traditional M&A and IPO routes, and the centralized players are winning there. For instance, we did Lambda Labs. They started as a hardware provider to deep learning teams and all the big FANG stocks, and now are creating a GPU cloud infrastructure to reduce the cost of compute. Well, they could do that because they centralized. They have distribution economies of scale. So I think in the Web 2 side, it's still that centralized space. In the Web 3 side, it's definitely a permissionless token exit side.
One of the areas where we
got to move on. I'm sorry, guys. Can we give everybody a round of applause?
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.